Oseo.
Oseo.
That's a Cherokee greeting. I'm starting right off with introducing an article. It's by Crystal Echo Hawk, and it is published currently in Indian Country Today. The title of her article, I'll start with that first. The majority of Americans know little to nothing about Native Americans, our issues, or our contributions. I'm going to use a framework of her leading paragraph or statements and her concluding ones. Basically, she has been prompted by the inflammatory remarks of the President Donald Trump towards particularly Senator Elizabeth Warren for being Native American. Stephen Colbert last week showed a clip of how many times this guy has made these kind of remarks about her. And in the course of it, I guess somewhere he even challenged that if she would take a DNA to prove her ancestry, he would give her $1 million. Well, she did do it, much to the consideration of a majority of Native Americans, of supplying a definition into that system. But in turn, she said, I'll take his $1 million and use that to support abused and missing Native women. He has yet to answer that. As far as Trump goes, he's some kind of a fellow who has styled himself as an uncouth lout, and he speaks that way. And in this case, he employs colonistic jargon to be offensive towards Native America. He's called a racist, but he's outright said he isn't. He's a nationalist. So he clears that up for everybody. So much of her article is inspired by that, and also other things. This project that she is one of the leaders of kind of reclaiming Native American truths, and it's a kind of a research of finding out attitudes and misconceptions and all of that. And a lot of her article has to do with the findings of all of those things to change these perceptions and the fables of American history and other things, usually under the title of racism. But clearly racism is something slightly different than colonialism. And I think that's really what we have here. So with that, I'm going to just read her opening on that. It's invisibility of Native peoples to most America threatens our fundamental rights and the well-being of our children. We are invisible within the U.S. government, Hollywood movies, popular news media, and in our schools. It is the reason that President Trump, lawmakers, and the uninformed media can use derogatory, racial, stereotypical language about Native people with impunity. Our invisibility and erasure is seen by them as normal. So you can kind of see where this is going. She makes kind of a distinction here. Now, she's a statist. She's a Native American statist, politely being called sovereignty. And so she's making a distinction that Elizabeth Warren did not make any kind of claims or anything as to being a member of any of the federally recognized, quote, First Nations, like that. Only that, like millions of other people, that she has a Native American inheritance. In Canada, recognized are Métis. People who are in that way are Métis. This government from the outset absolutely refuses that kind of recognition and had even jailed people in the early 20th century for trying to forward that idea. Of myself, I humbly say I'm a beneficiary of being educated Cherokee, Wansipay Cherokee. And in that, I'm also a beneficiary of the story or legend of the prophecy of Dakanaweda. Dakanaweda was a true holy man, I would say even a Buddha, who appeared out of the wilderness in Ontario among the people, the Iroquois nations, who were locked in some kind of internecine blood feud spiraling towards extinction. And he appeared here. He seemed to have some kind of a speech impediment or something. And he converted the person who's the most famous, Hiawatha. Hiawatha became his main voice to people. Dakanaweda is actually known as deeds of realizing, revealing, and guiding. And it's very similar to the Buddha. The six paramitas of Buddhism is the six songs of Dakanaweda. Very, very much the same. And he called this whole thing the Great Peace. And the Cherokees are one of the people who benefited from the Great Peace. And Hiawatha, through colonial lore, has actually become more mythicized and more famous. Even a poem by, a very poetic poem by Longfellow titled that. And out of this, the quelling of this feud with these people came the thing that we still use today, bury the hatchet. And that's what, I'm looking to, and as a beneficiary of this great peace to acquit ourselves of the past history so that we can, quote, move the boulder of goodness forward. And out of that prophecy, as we would call two worlds in collision, and a third has come out of it, it's coming out. And that is that this third will be made up of all people here. And that's what I feel I'm an inheritor of. And to conclude her piece here, in that theme, let us build a house, Indian country, that stands strong for First Nation sovereignty, but also has a place for those who are ready to stand hand in hand with us. We need our allies, because the Standing Rock Nation in Wasoleheoyate reminded us how united we are when we all come together. We are all related. Now it is the season for Native Americans to be visible. Clouds be gone and the sun shines on all. So that is the finishing of Echo Hawk's piece. Now with that, I'm going to present this poem, and along with this picture and this figure that I have down here. This is Navajo, and I'm figuring her as Amsa Yogai, white shell woman. The big turquoise on her there denotes her divinity. And this is the piece I have going with this. O lady, the hem of whose garment is the sky, whose grace falls from her glance, who gives life from the touch of one finger. O lady, whose hair is the willow, whose breath is the river song, who lopes through the Milky Way, baying at stars coming out. O lady, whose sky's head holds 1,000 eyes, eyes even black of imploded nebulae, who trails frail as a virgin on the mist. O lady, fling your bright drops to us, signs of your love. Throw your green scarf on this earth again. Oh, smile, this robe for us. Unveil your eyes, and we can see. Bueno.